of Dark Shadows? And Catherine said yes. So over to Catherine.
Yes, and I hadn't published a book for a while, but I have to say, I dug in immediately because this really was going to be fun. And when it came to the cover, John had a very specific plan in mind. You've got to introduce me.
Yeah, well, you know, I collect genre art, or monster art, or horror art. And to me, there is one artist who deals in our world who is head and shoulders above all the others. Honestly, it's my feeling. And his name is Mark Maddox. And I had commissioned a painting from Mark, an original oil painting. And it was so beautiful. So when we came to talk about the cover, I said, there's only one human being on earth who should do this, and that is Mark Maddox. Over to you, Mark.
I came to Dark Shadows. My father was in the Air Force and we came back from Germany in 1969. I'm in a hotel room, we're moving to our new house in South Dakota, and this thing comes on the TV, so the guy's walking through the forest with a shotgun and a werewolf jumps out. I immediately lose my mind, start having a seizure, and my mom, who was making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the 5 kids for the trip the rest of the way, goes, "It's called a soap opera." And I go, "I like soap operas." Well, I didn't know the rest of them were boring. But Dark Shadows eluded me. It was a beautiful thing. It was like, and painful at the same time, because every time I tried to watch it, I lived in South Dakota, and I don't know what school you went to, but when I got home, the ending credits were rolling. All you all are out there, "Oh, I ran home and I saw it," and I'm like, not me. There was a comic book down the street I wanted to buy. It was 35 cents. It was too expensive. I couldn't afford it. Then I finally came to with the 35 cents, and because I was in the military, I needed that extra penny for tax outside of the base. I went back the next day with the penny. It was gone. Yes, this is my life. And so, you know, years go by, and luckily it came on Sci-Fi Channel, it came on their local Channel 6, just 17 out of Atlanta, got to gobble it up, and then I got to start doing, after I did the screen cover, it really got a lot of notoriety, more things started coming, and I feel like I'm blessed that Dark Shadows is an incredible muse, and a gift that keeps on giving, because I could draw 1,000,000 drawings and do 1,000,000 paintings from that show. I mean, I'm upset because I only had a month or so to work on the work that I brought to the table this last weekend. I've got a gorgeous one that I've got in my head that isn't finished. Catherine Lee Scott with the off-the-shoulder black evening dress, holding the candelabra, you know, from that one episode where she's like waiting for Barnabas. And it's like, no, got to get on the plane and got to get out here to see you people. So one day it will happen.
And talk about the process of how sort of you curated what's on this, because we had to choose. You know, Catherine and Mark and I got together and decided to choose who and where to feature them. So it's both covers, but we had some discussion about who gets featured and who's on the cover and why.
No, you basically laid down the law.
Well, I know I said.
He seemed sweet, but it was like, do it my way.
No, it was, I want Count Petofi, and I want to make sure.
There were certain things I felt that it had to happen, and I'll be honest with you, there was people on there. I wanted Willie on there, and that wasn't going to happen, and there was other Carolyn is on there, but from the film. But there were certain things you can't throw everything in there. It becomes a Jackson Pollock after a while. It becomes a Technicolor yawn. And so we picked through and we made a list and everything and we agreed on it. But you know, I'm pretty happy with the final version to cover the overall arc of Dark Shadows. I was pretty happy with it.
Yeah.
You?
No, very happy with it.
Yeah.
Great. And believe me, it's a beautiful book, and Mark's work is gorgeous when you're holding it and looking at it. And the other sort of thing we decided, actually this was Catherine's suggestion, Because I just imagined a sort of coffee table book, and Catherine said, well, let's have some essays. So do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, I'm the back cover girl. Yes. Rather than the two of us doing a history, a chronology, or whatever, we didn't want it to be like the other books that I published on Dark Shadows, like Return to Collinwood, which is very chronological, and even though there are contributors, our book is all contributors. John and I have written a couple of pieces, but we really considered carefully all of the people who would have a viewpoint, something to say about the show. Among them, Daniela and Patrick McRae, Stuart Manning. They all have a really good point of view there, and they're all good writers. And then some of the actors that have been in the show. And also a couple of, rather than a commemorative thing, there are pieces, of course, Mary O'Leary has written a wonderful piece about Jonathan Frid. I wrote a piece about Joan Bennett. And there's a piece about Laura Parker. But it's really, and I must say, you're putting a lot of credit on my shoulders, and you're the one who really curated and came up with a wonderful mix. It really is a wonderful mix of essays, and there she is, one of our contributors. But you know, we really have some exceptional writers, and I've just named a couple of them. I mean, Stuart Manning and Patrick McRae can write pieces that make you weep with laughter, but also illuminate something that you had never seen in that light. So they're really extraordinary writers. So I'm lucky to have them.
Yeah, and one of the things I was very proud of, because when Catherine and I first discussed it for why would this be interesting for the fans to get when there's so much out there, is, again, to represent all the different facets. So, you know, Ava Green wrote a piece, and Alec Newman from Warner Brothers wrote a piece, a bunch of people from the 91 revival wrote pieces, like Joanna Going. So Lisette Anthony wrote a foreword for us. So I hope when you get the book and read it, you'll see it's a real reflection of different parts of the Dark Shadows verse that aren't always featured and aren't always beloved. And as a matter of fact, Mark and I, the one sort of very spirited debate we had was about putting Johnny Depp on the cover. And we discussed it back and forth, if you remember, Mark, because the Burton movie is controversial in the fandom, but love it or hate it, and many people do love it, and many people do hate it, it is part of our legacy, of everyone in this room, and an important part. So that's why, I think that's fair to say, Mark, why we included it.
No, you basically told me.
Okay. Like, I am not a tyrant.
No, he really didn't. No, it was one of those where he told me it's from A to Z. It's like right now I'm just finishing up a Night Stalker book, and that crappy show from about 15 years ago has got to be represented in there. And I'm not saying that about the Tim Burton film, but this is about the whole thing. It's the whole shebang, and I'm like, dude, I'm there. I was a commercial artist for decades. That's what I do. But
so
yes.
Yeah, the big other element in the book, aside from all of the merchandise, the artwork throughout, which is also representative, everything from the bubblegum cards to, you know, the books that have been done about Dark Shadows. Speak to that, because you really understand all of those. There were things that I didn't recognize, comic books, for example, that I didn't know existed, but you know all of that.
Well, but coming from a fan perspective, and I'm sure many of you, if not most of you, are fans, you know that this stuff is important to you. You know, you grew up with it, or it's a treasure you have, the Barnabas Collins game, or the Cane, or this comic book cover is important to you in some way. So a coffee table book meant to me a lot of art, which brings us to Ansel Faraj, because our art was, it was months of choosing what art we were going to put in the book. And Jim Pearson was absolutely invaluable about getting us rare things, things we haven't seen before. And so Ansel, talk about the process of starting to like curate the imagery.
Yeah, I mean, John pitched it to me, it was last summer, early last summer, and tasked me with going through thousands of photographs and items and memorabilia. And then September, Catherine came over, John came over, we started scanning things, we started selecting things to include, and then it just became an ongoing process for about like 3 months of refining and finding more photos, finding more like interesting comic book designs and artwork and behind the scenes stills from the movies. And we had a lot of fun, I think, putting it together. And then redoing it like 4 times after that to get it
was
right.
It was really the most fun for me was doing this, because think about like you're going to do a section on Quentin Collins and you want to represent all of Quentin Collins. Of course, there's David Selby, who wrote a great piece for us, but there's also the Quentin Collins from the comic book. There's the Quentin Collins featured in the Dan Ross novels. So how do you represent all of that? So I would go to Ansel's house. We would sit in his garage in front of the computer and go for hours. Then we would call Catherine or text Catherine in New York, because we both live in LA, and say, well, what about this idea? Is this a good picture? How does this represent Grayson Hall? You know, because Matthew Hall wrote a great piece for us. Are there things you haven't seen before you'd like to see? You know, and there's also, I'd love you to talk, Ansel, about the tone of like how that Dark Shadows tone.
Yeah, that was something that I was really trying to get the spirit of the show and translate that into a book, into just a visual page, and like, what do we think about the iconography of the show? So blue candles, and you know, the cliffs with the fog, and the cobwebbed old house, and just like that essence of like the atmosphere of Dark Shadows. Because I think for me, I was not running home from school to watch Dark Shadows, you know, several years later. But the mood of the show and like Robert Cobert's music and all of that is what always sort of drew me into this very strange franchise that is Dark Shadows. And to get that visually on the page was a fun challenge. I think we succeeded. I've not seen the interior of the book yet, so I'll take John and Catherine's word for it.
Oh, you know, I'm going to speak to that because I've published well, you know, I've been publishing since 1985, but I stopped about 3 years ago and sold my company. And it's a different world. The publishing world is very different. The one person that has been with me throughout is Cheryl Carrington, who designed this book, who lives in New Mexico. So we were working in a lot of different time zones. But in any case, things have changed terrifically. And one of the reasons why, probably the biggest reason we don't have the books, and I kind of teased earlier, actually they are somewhere around Cleveland, is because we live in a very complex, volatile world right now, a very uncertain world. And well, to make it very succinct, with oil prices, tariffs, and shipping, these books should have been to us a month ago. But with oil prices skyrocketing, no shipping company is going to buy oil at that price. They've already contracted to ship certain number of containers at a certain price. So they waited until there was a dip in the oil prices, and our books shipped, but way too late. So we would love to have had them here today. And I had a weepy moment the other night when I heard that we were not going to have them. And I called John and left a message. Well, this is the kind of guy John is. He gets back to me when I'm feeling at my worst and says, well, that's all right. They'll get their books eventually. We're not going to let that spoil our weekend. We're going to have a good time anyway, which was wonderful. All I can tell you is that I think my husband was the most relieved because I just totally relaxed. I just totally said, you know, it's the 60th, I'm going to enjoy it. I am not going to let our global economy spoil our weekend. So here we are, with smiles on our faces.
I just wanted to say one quick thing. My mom introduced me to Dark Shadows through Catherine's first book, Scrapbook Memories. And so at the end of all this, like, working with John was so much fun, but it's been a real honor to, at this point, have contributed to one of Catherine's books. So I just, that was, the little kid version of me is happy. Jim vanished into parallel time.
Daniela is sitting here in the front. Oh, and by the way, Guy Haynes, thank you for your lovely piece. That was really kind, writing from a brand point of view. We had a couple of pieces like that, and I'm really delighted. I'm vamping now because we're missing Jim Pearson. And we kind of feel that we've done it here, unless somebody, yeah, thanks. Is there a question? And nobody has a
I've got a quick sum.
Okay.
All right, so I'm at the house and I work at home as an artist. I'm a lucky man. And I go downstairs in the morning. And you know when you get a phone call from somebody you've never gotten a phone call from, you get a number, right? Not me. The phone rings, I'm in my Batman slippers, cup of coffee, and it says, Catherine Lee Scott. Now, we went to bed that night before watching Dark Shadows. We got up that morning and watched Dark Shadows while we had coffee. I go downstairs and this thing comes on and I go like, I run upstairs. My wife is in the middle of a meeting in her office and I'm like, and she's like, I run downstairs, turn it on, and it's like, hi, Mark, this is Catherine Lee Scott. The cover's not right. Not that bad, but that's what I'm saying. John didn't call me, Mr. Positive. She did, and I'm like, and it's one of the great moments. Now, I don't get to talk to actors and actresses, but it was just wonderful to have that happen. That's one of those moments in life where, you're on a rocker 50 years from now. Yeah, I remember when Catherine Lee Scott chewed me out, but she was really sweet about it. She did not. She didn't chew me out, but I mean, to talk to you was just wonderful. So thank you.
Yeah, is Jim on his way?
I don't know where Jim is, but
We can handle it. Oh, yeah, what is your question?
it looks like bringing the microphone, okay, so they can hear you.
There you are, my dear. Oh, I hold the microphone.
Hi, I was wondering, do you have like a favorite Dark Shadows character to draw? Like, is there one that you have the most fun drawing?
No, I love, can everybody hear me without that mic?
Yeah.
I love them all. I mean, it's amazing to me how many I did not get to do recently for this thing. Somebody gave me an emergency cover gig, which cost me 2 weeks.
You're the best, my friend.
But I'm telling you, there was so many people. I didn't get to do Carolyn. I didn't get to do Willie. Oh, I did do Willie. Willie's out there. But there were so many people. But I do know that Tomashoff just did that book on the sets. I thought that I was going to possibly do a sketchbook of just the sets, but that book came out, so it's like, that's covered. No, there was nobody. There's so many great people, so many great faces. They're all wonderful.
It's Patty Karabinar's new book on Cy Tomashoff. It's fantastic. She does have a table here. She did not get the books on time, but you can sign up and she will you can order the book directly from her when it's available. I saw a sneak peek and it's amazing. Does anybody else have any questions? Other questions? One way in the back. You're going to make me run. I'll get my cardio in. Okay.
Throw the mic back there.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Mr. John Logan for Michael making over $1 billion at the box office, being the highest grossing biopic of all time. And my question for Catherine, you were also on another show I really loved back in 1982, Tales of the Gold Monkey, where you taught Jake Cutter how to say Kipling. Do you have any stories or memories from that episode?
Tales of the Gold Monkey.
Oh my gosh, nobody's ever asked me about that. All right. What I'm really thrilled about is that I got to do that with a couple of really wonderful English actors that I really love. But I got to shoot on the Queen Mary, which was really, really fun. And now my husband and I are going to sail on the Queen Mary too. But that's what I really remember from that. But I wish that show had gone longer. It was really a fun one to do. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions? Yes. Yes. Oh, Sam Irvin, like a beacon. I'll sit with you.
This is a very, very important question that's been nagging at me. We have Daniela here, whose nom de plume is Penny Dreadful. And we have Ron Logan here, who created and wrote a little series you might have heard of called Penny Dreadful. So who's first?
I think Danielle was well ahead of me when it came to Penny Dreadful, but the Penny Dreadfuls predated all of us.
Correct.
I love Danielle. Tara Collingwood is the best show, so if you wherever you get your podcast from, Tara Collingwood was made specifically for each and every one of you because it's intelligent, it's sophisticated, it's fun, it deep dives, and that's entirely Danielle and her work. So I am honored that we share a little Penny Dreadful.
That's very kind of you, John. Do I Venmo you now for a second? So I want to just have a round of applause here for Ansel's mom, Mrs. Farage, who is the coolest person. And Stuart Manning, who did Daytime Gothic, and you've got to go by his table and check that out because it is sensational if you haven't seen it. Any other questions? Anybody else? Oh, I see one. Oh, you're going to make me run again. Okay.
What a thrill.
I wonder if maybe before we adjourn, you could repeat that really lovely offer from earlier about, since the books aren't here, how we would get them, and you were offering that they would come up a photo and other nice things. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you know, John and I came up with an idea without the books here. How we could make a kind of a special offer for the festival. So the book will come to you free of shipping charges. And you can, I'll also sign a photograph for you that you can take home today. And you don't have to carry a 3-pound book around with you. So that's the upside. But we expect the books in New York, where I live, in about 10 days. And that's when I will start shipping them out. So if you come to my table, we've got a wonderful team there that we've kind of got this down now. But you can pay by Zelle, Venmo, or cash, and fill out a form, and I will use that to make up the shipping label and get the book out to you that I will sign, and you get to take home a color photo signed today. How does that sound? And our fearless leader has shown up, Jim Pearson, And I'm going to say this, he should be on the panel with us, because without Jim's encyclopedic memory of all things Dark Shadows and access to the most extraordinary trove of Dark Shadows photographs, we could not have done this book, because he was ferrying these photos over to Ansel to scan, and it was brilliant. So Jim, as I said, you should be on this panel as well, because you contributed mightily. I will say it, we wouldn't have Dark Shadows without Dan Curtis. We wouldn't have Dark Shadows legacy without Jim Pearson.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, John. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Ansel. And the book is floating our way, and you can stop by Catherine's table. Okay. And
Thank you.
now we're going to